What makes Michael Myers scary? This is going to be a very controversial video. It's probably going to piss off a lot of people. We have the disclaimer of, the fact that I am going to mention stuff from probably not every Halloween movie, but most of them. So if you haven't seen them, I'd recommend not watching this. For Michael, unlike the other killers I've talked about, there's a little bit of variance when it comes to what about him specifically would intimidate me. Like in the original movie, for most of it anyway, it's the fact that it's what is seemingly a normal guy who is just sneaking up on these different teenagers and picking them off like flies one by one. When he goes and gets Linda or Annie or Bob, it's always while they have their guard down, while they're not really thinking about it, while they're just they're not in any kind of mode to sense the danger around them. And that's actually one of the reasons why Laurie works so good in the first film, because she's, that kind of wallflower, observant type figure. But where Michael stops being scary based off of his realism is in the final moments of the movie when he's shot by Loomis and it appears that he is deceased and then he disappears. Now, a lot of people say it's scary because it's like the ominous factor of like, where is he? And that is intimidating. But a lot of times people, when they're trashing the sequels, they'll say they made him supernatural and have supernatural strength. And it's like, yeah, but that original film's ending very much hints at him being supernatural if he can survive getting shot that many times and like be well enough to also walk away from it. But from then on, he's intimidating mainly because of how indestructible he seems to be, right? Just getting shot up and also the seeming super strength that he has. Now, there was one person who came in my comment section, after this is in response to the revelations in Halloween 2 and 4 that Michael wants to kill off his family, or I guess in 2 kill off his sister, and then in 4 and 5 kill his niece. And they said, oh, well, Michael's not scary when you know that he's after his family, because that means if you don't live around them, then you don't have to worry about anything happening to you. And I said, I guess you can kind of make that argument. I don't pretend I'm some genius when it comes to writing, but I do like to think critically about the things that people claim when they're, antagonizing works that I happen to like. But the issue there is that you can't say, well, you can, but I think it's pretty flimsy. Michael's not scary because, we know that if we are not his targets or we're not around the people that he's after, then we're going to be fine. But even a movie that I'm not really the biggest fan of, like H2O, kind of turns on its head, where Laurie stopped living in Haddonfield years and years and years ago, and by virtue of people living there and having things that Michael wants, right, like Nurse Chambers, they still get killed anyway. So really, it's more of a thing of like, I guess you can say that, if you know that you're not in proximity of one of the people he's after, then you're going to be okay. But you still, a lot of times, wouldn't even know that you're next to them, because just from the fact that we've had an installment where people who didn't live around his target still ended up getting killed anyway with H2O. But also, and this goes back to like why Michael is arguably one of the hardest characters to write for in all of fiction, because anytime you explain something about him, people get mad. If the argument is that by knowing things about him, right, we've demystified him, we've taken away that sense of wonder that makes him so captivating and interesting. Well, hell, your beef is not with Halloween, 2, 4, 5, 6, H2O Resurrection, or any of the ones after that. You'd have to start with the first movie, because the first movie is the one that tells us that, well, rather depicts to us his first kill, that informs us that he's after someone on the anniversary, or one of the anniversaries of the day of the instance where he committed his first murder. And even without us explicitly knowing why he's after Laurie, right? So like there is that mystery, I suppose. You still are privy to the fact that he is trying to kill a teenage girl, or kill a series of teenagers, like that teenage sister of his that he killed on this exact same holiday, 15 years earlier. So I don't know, it's one of those things where people, and this goes back to like why I said I like 78. I think I, classic, whatever. But sometimes the fans are so just desperate to make it seem like it was so great and amazing and revolutionary, and everything that came afterward just like ruined it and made it so awful. And I that's why I can't buy it, because even their own arguments against the sequels tend to not hold up, especially when you add in that the first movie breaks a lot of the same standards that they try to impose. And I already said the idea of Michael like having no target and just killing the kill, it's a nice concept, but every time they try to do it, it seems like it falls on its face. You go to Resurrection. Oh, he killed off Laurie and now he's back in his house and the people are there. Well, I mean, okay, he's not specifically targeting anyone there, but it goes back to, remember how people say, "Oh, I love it when he's mystified. We don't know why he's doing it." It's like, it's pretty obvious if they didn't come to his house, none of them would get killed. So we know what his motive is for targeting them, right? Even if his family is not involved in this. Also, let's not forget that many of the replacement final girls and protagonists that they tried to do after getting rid of his family are also not really well received. And then you have to like go back to the fact of like, oh well, in 2018 he and Laurie are not related, and she's, this is what Kills tries to forge. She's nothing. She's a nobody. He's not after her. It's like, okay, you say that, but then this whole trilogy is based around her 40-year feud with him. So it's like we're told by promotional material and in the story itself that she's nothing, but narratively, most of the focus of that set of films, aside from a good chunk of Kills, is dedicated to showing the trajectory of her rivalry with Michael. Like the film is telling us one thing, and then by focusing so much on her, displaying something else. And it's funny, for all the times that people say like all this stuff about him shouldn't be revealed, like I agree that Curse revealed just too damn much, which is why when I was proposing, my own Halloween 6, the idea I had was just, the thorn tattoo is just a tattoo that maybe can heal people, and like you don't know how Michael got it, you don't know how the doctor got it. Most of the stuff is still kept up, vague. But it's kind of interesting how for all the revelations we've had about him as a character, it's never been revealed why he has to put on the white mask and the the boiler suit. They've never gone into detail why he always feels the need to put that attire back on over and over again. But I guess for me, the scariest thing about him is that he seems indestructible, and you can't figure out if he's going to come after you or not. Maybe sometimes he's operating, like he'll mostly operate in Haddonfield, but if you're his target, he has no problem getting in the car and driving over to you. And even if you're like a survivor, like Loomis, right, where he won't kill him, at least in the original series, it's still disturbing just based off of what he'll do to you, because sometimes you can have a fate worse than death. Like, hey, you're not deceased, but I've ripped off both of your arms and your legs. Hey, you're not deceased, but you get to watch everyone you cared about die instead. It's one of those things where the stuff that makes him scary to me, which is that seeming invincibility and this determination that's like not really going to be beset by whatever number of obstacles are in his way, right? Whether it's distance or the opposition of like the police and the various other, protagonist or hero type characters that are across the different films. Again, there's a certain amount of stuff that you tell us about him that makes him just not really like a mystery anymore. But whether you know things about him or not, the things that you do know, which is that he is this sadistic killer whose only desire is to just end your life, is what intimidates me. Like, unlike Jason, who is like very open to at least, not going after children, or Freddy, who, if you don't ever sleep, you probably are not going to have any issues with, or, just a lot of these other ones where there's like some comedic value or at least some kind of heroic quality. Michael is devoid of all of those. If he's pure evil, and even if he has like the vestiges of humanity of like, oh, I don't want to hurt my doctor, who's the only person I've had this, 20, 30-year relationship with, the father-like figure, it still doesn't erase the fact that he will kill damn near anybody else. Like, even if you impose that one limitation, no one else is safe, and the one person who theoretically would be safe, Loomis, might not be able to stop him, certainly by himself. Uh, so yeah, that to me, that's what is so intimidating about him. Just the pure, just evil with like slight cracks, right? You got the scenes in H5, for example, um, but he is just an unstoppable, destructive force that I think in a really good Halloween movie, you could probably play up as like that ultimate antagonist. Like, if you make it where you've got some likable protagonist and this version of Michael who's like, if he's not sneaking up on someone, he's just wrecking and destroying them, like he did that police department in H4. I think you can make a really good tale of just, how do you overcome this? It can't be reasoned with, bargained with. I don't want to make Michael sound like the Terminator, but he kind of is. He's a homegrown monster that, maybe he'll go after you if you're a family member. Maybe he'll go after you because you remind him of someone, or you're in proximity, you've got something he wants. But there's very few forces that can stop him. And when he appears the most unstoppable and seems to show up out of the blue and just cross you in a corner, that's where I think he's the most intimidating. Whether we know his background or not.